So I was in the shower a minute ago, stewing over what's going on with this DHX2 shock. So had the pivot for a couple of days, and winding more than a full turn of preload on the shock was creating top out. Now, to counter the top out, I could have gone full slow or almost full slow on the high speed rebound, which was affecting everything else on the bike. It was too slow on the rebound. You needed the rebound a little more open. So I was trying to work out what was going on there, how come it's topping out, change springs and whatnot. And in the shower, it kind of clicked that the thread pitch, because I've had a good look at the shock and had a real hard think about it, the thread pitch on the collar is more coarse, so it's a thicker thread pitch, so there's more millimeters between each full rotation. So I believe the old one, all the other Fox shocks and my Marzocchi shock and everything, it might be a millimeter. Let's just use an arbitrary number and say it's a millimeter per full rotation of compression on these springs. So that full rotation, 1 millimeter, 2 full rotations, 2 millimeters. So that's your maximum preload on a Fox shock. So, or on all the previous Fox shocks. And I thought, oh, that's what's going on. Thicker thread, or more coarse thread pitch, is creating the first full rotation would be 2 millimeters versus the 1 millimeter on the old one, and 2 full rotations would be 4 millimeters. So I was giving it 4 millimeters of compression, which is obviously going to create more extension, more force on the shock when the shock's at full extension, because the spring's not relaxed yet. So I thought, oh, what's going on here? Like, maybe that's the key. So I looked on the Fox website just to double check, make sure what was going on in my head was right. Now the new DHX2, Fox's own recommendation is minimum of 8 clicks of preload. So the new collar has got detents, so it's click, 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 and I believe it's either got 6 notches for a full rotation or 8 notches. It's around there anyway. I'll have to double check that. That's just a guess, but it's around there. Now, minimum of 8 clicks, let's say that's a full rotation, it's at least a full rotation. Let's say that's a full rotation. So minimum of 8 clicks is what I found on that shock before it started topping out was the maximum I could go. So their minimum is 8 clicks and their maximum, get this, is 26 clicks. So that's 3, if 8 clicks is 1 turn, that's 3 and a bit full turns of preload. And that'll create huge amounts of force when the shock's at full extension, which to me, I think that's going to be doing a lot of damage to the shock. So the shock's at full extension, obviously it has some sort of a top out resistance, a top out bumper in there or something, but it's just going to be smashing against that constantly. Not to mention it's super hard to get preload on that coil, on that collar. It always gets stuck in the detent. I wish I had the shock here to show you, but my assumption was, right, maybe the new, I was thinking, I'll look on the website and it's going to say to me 8 clicks is the maximum, or 1 full rotation is the maximum now because it's a deeper detent. But turns out no, they're allowing for more and they want a higher minimum as well. So the minimum used to be, from what I think and what I remember, the minimum was connect. So no weight on the bike. Best to do it without the shock in the bike at all. If not, if the shock's in the bike, hang it by the seat. Keep winding that preload collar down. Keep winding it down until it touches the spring. Make sure the spring's snug. It's not it doesn't have to be snug like you can't move it, but it has to be snug vertically. It can't move around vertically. And from there, quarter of a turn. So quarter of a turn to me is minimum preload. And I've never had one come undone at that. Saying that, I haven't had too much experience on coils. So, or not a lot of hours on coils to go a year, 2 years, 3 years and never have it come undone. But I've never had one come undone. My glory was always a coil, until I put an air shock on it. But I've had a few coils in the past. So to see them now saying that 8 clicks or a full turn is the minimum preload, and to experience a shock with that minimum preload on it, and only a click or two past their recommended minimum, already topping out. I believe either the shock has got air in the damper, maybe it's got a leaking seal, and it seems like these new Fox shocks they're just troublesome. They're blowing seals. I met a guy out of Eagle, young lad out of Eagle yesterday, who's done a couple of seals. Another lad who showed me his seal had popped out of a float X2. I don't know if that's the new one. I think it was an older one. It was like a 2019 or something. So, but they just seem to be getting a little bit less reliable. So, not sure whether they're using a different seal manufacturer or what's going on there. But the preload thing bothers me, definitely. So suss it out, and I don't know if it's wise to follow their recommendation blindly of 8 clicks minimum, 26 clicks maximum. I think that's going to do a lot of damage to your shock. So just be careful, be mindful, and be logical about it. Just needed to get that off your chest.